I declare the meeting open and welcome you to this month's special meeting of Council. The recording of this Council meeting will be available to the public on Council's website for the period of 6 months. In accordance with Council policy, I will now ask Council staff to confirm that the recording has commenced.
Yes, it has, Mayor.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge that we meet on the land of the Malakadee people, the traditional custodians of this land. We pay respect to them and their customs, to their elders past, present and emerging. I'd like us to take a minute's silence to reflect on the lost life of Michael O'Neill on the 24th of May 2022, who was helping citizens flee the war in Ukraine. Michael is the nephew of our acting Deputy Mayor, Sue Clark. Thank you. Attendance. We have in the chambers Acting Deputy Mayor Sue Clark, we have Councillor Joanne Lovell, we have Councillor Michael Newell, and we have Councillor Robbie Prince, and on phone we have Councillor O'May. Are you with us, Mark?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'll pass it over to you two. Yes.
Thanks, Acting Mayor. Yes, we've got the Director of Legal and Governance Services and also Acting Director Environment and Development Services, Matthew Grimsey, the Director Corporate Services, David Spinks, Director Community Services, Rebecca Stevenson, a Manager Finance and Information Services, Tracy Hankin, ITC Officer, Michael Glazer, Executive Assistant, Sandy Rustle, and Communications and Media Team Leader, Elaine Thomas.
Thank you. Item 2, apologies. Leave of absence, none. Absent, none. Declarations of interest. Do I have councillors? We have it. Yes?
Yes, Mayor, I have one, but don't worry, it's not the budget.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you want to read that out now? Is that correct? Does Rob read that out now, or? Yes, please, Rob. Sorry.
Yeah, declaration of interest, agenda item number 20.032-21. I believe it's, or 22, sorry, my handwriting's atrocious. Appointment of directors to the Huon Valley Jobs Hub Authority.
Thank you. You can just keep that now, Rob, that's fine. Okay, we're straight into agenda number 16.010/22, the adoption of the long-term financial plan 2022-2023, budget estimates and rates and charges. I refer the councillors to the recommendation of this report. Do I have a councillor to move a motion?
Through you, Acting Mayor.
Yes.
I do have an amended motion to move.
Right.
If you'll just bear with me, please. It's 16.010/22, and that is A, the report on the adoption of the Huon Valley Council Long-Term Financial Plan 2022/2023, to 2031/2032 and the adoption of 2022-23 budget estimates, the making of the rates and charges and adoption of the annual plan 2022-23 be received and noted. B, the proposed Huon Valley Council Financial Management Strategy and Long-Term Financial Plan 2022-23 to 2031 and 2032 included as attachment A to this report pursuant to section 70 of the Local Government Act 1993 is deferred for consideration by the Council following the October 22 elections. Pursuant to section 82 of the Local Government Act 1993, the Huon Valley Council estimates an annual budget 22-23, including the updated summarised asset renewal schedule, included as attachment B to this report, is adopted subject to the following. The following expenditure allocations are adjusted. The amount allocated to strategic land use planning is reduced by $230,000 from $904,500 to $674,500. The amount allocated to strategic reserve seed funding allocation is reduced by $200,000 to zero. The budget is to be edited to reflect those allocation adjustments throughout the text of this document and is to reflect a general rate increase of 5%. Any references to the proposed Huon Valley Council Financial Management Strategy and Long-Term Financial Plan 2022-23 to 2031-2032 are to be removed and the Long-Term Financial Plan to be generally referenced. Rates and charges are made and levied for the purposes contemplated under the Local Government Act 1993 for the financial year 1st of July 2022 to 30th of June 2023 in accordance with the resolution set out in attachment C to this report. Pursuant to section 205 of the Local Government Act 1993, the following waste transfer station fees for 2022-23 be amended as set out. A single garbage bag, 75 litre, a proposed fee of $8. 2 garbage bags, 75 litre, $11. 3 garbage bags, 75 litre or less, $14. Pursuant to section 71 of the Local Government Act 1993, the Huon Valley Council Annual Plan 2022-23, included as attachment D, is adopted subject to the final editing, updating of statistics, any budget changes and proofing. A copy of the Huon Valley Council Estimates and Annual Budget 22-23 as amended by this resolution and the Huon Valley Council Annual Plan 22-23 be placed on the Council's website and copies be made available for inspection and available free of charge.
Okay, do I have someone to second that? Councillor Prince. So now... Yep, thank you, Mark. Councillor Clark, would you like to speak to your motion? Is that correct? I've got a seconder. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Acting Mayor.
Oh, Rob, do you want clarification? No?
Through you, Acting Mayor,
Yep.
just one point of clarification. The resolution referred to as attachment C has actually been amended, so it is not what appears in the attachments to the papers that went public. So the amendment is reducing the general rate increase to 5%.
5%. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you. Yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, just bear with me, people. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the Director of Finance and the team for the hard work they've done on providing the financial documents they've put forward for adoption tonight. That being said, I was concerned about the long-term financial plan when presented to Council during workshops some months ago, and I've agonised over the prospect of 8% increases for the next 4 years, especially with the cost of living going up, interest rates increasing, basic essentials such as petrol, food and power going up, and I believe it's too much to ask our ratepayers. There's also the new government valuations coming into effect on the 1st of July, and all of these things will have impacts on people in this community. I've spoken to farmers who are struggling to make a living. Some are asset rich, but there's a lot of them that are cash poor, and an 8% rise could push them over the edge. There's also investors who would pass on the rate increases to their tenants. That would create more housing stress. We could see more homeless people, and mental health issues would increase. My proposal of 5% increase for this coming financial year has meant that around 420 of cuts to expenditure had to be found, and that has been addressed in this recommendation. The expenditure of the budget is also a great concern when we're expecting a 2.9 million deficit. However, it's become apparent that past councils may have been lacking in forward planning, and this council has taken the steps to increase important services such as roads and planning. The General Manager stated that it will take longer for the budget to come back to surplus if we reduce the rate from 8% to 5%. I understand that. But it can be achieved, and the new incoming council can then have an input and be involved in the long-term financial plan and assist with bringing the budget back to surplus. I take my role on council very seriously, as we all do. I've listened to the community concerns, and I therefore ask my fellow councillors to please support my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, Councillor.
I'll just back up everything that Sue said. I'm of the same opinion. I think any more than 5 would be just undoable at the moment. The amount of hurt out there in the community is unbelievable, but I do think the new council's going to have to look very closely at the services we're providing the community and see if we can find some that maybe we don't have to do anymore, because the services, the amount of workers we need on site is increasing all the time with OH&S. You know, there's not many one-man crews go out anymore because you need a spotter, you need someone there in case there's trouble. The costs that are coming this council's way are unbelievable. So, yeah, I agree totally with Councillor Clark. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Lovell.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I'd like to speak in support of Sue's motion. I've had the same concerns raised to me, and I think looking forward, Council has some hard decisions to make and a lot of work to do, because we know that we cover a large area. We are actually a larger council, and we continually try and spread our money very thinly over the Huon Valley. And I just think at the moment, with the way things are, the rate increase I think is too much. I don't know how that's going to be overcome in the future. We're the 5th lowest rating council in Tasmania, and that puts us in a position of having to constantly skimp on things, and that's not good for our staff and that's not good for our residents. So we are investing in roads, which we needed to do, but there are some hard decisions to come after this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Prince.
Through you, Mayor, I'll reserve comment till after. I've just got some questions or points of clarity on the budget that I'd like. Starting with the $150,000 for leadership and community development. Through you, Mayor, is the General Manager able to just sort of what does that actually mean, and why is it $150,000, etc.?
Yes, no problems. Through you, General Manager.
Yeah, I guess in basically delivering on our expectations of the community and the customer expectations, a large part of that is our staff, and the experience that our staff, our customers and the community experience is going to be about the culture that we have across the business, and enabling us to deliver on that means investing in our people, investing in our leaders, to be able to ensure the values and the behaviours are going to make sure we've got the teams working well and everyone working well together and aligned, and there's synergy across our business. And I think you can sort of look at our staff turnover ratio and see that everything's not working as wonderfully as we'd like it at the present time. And ultimately, we haven't been investing in that area. So there's an opportunity for us to turn that around. And I know that over the past 3 or 4 years, management before me have been looking for this investment. So it's certainly not the first time that it's been presented to council. The plan to work through this process and come up with a leadership and culture program that is going to be able to enable our staff to deliver to the community and the customer expectations is a really important ingredient in our plan for next year.
Just further on that, if I may, through you, Mayor, how did you arrive at the cost of 150? Is this what's the rough metric that sort of gets you at that number?
Look, I've gauged through the market an estimate at this stage. We haven't been through the procurement process to understand exactly, but I guess this is about getting started in that space, and without obviously going through that procurement process, I can't give you the exact details. And again, I don't think that would be helpful in getting us good value if we were to detail it in a sense before going out there.
Yeah, just on this, my final probably question on this one is, say for argument's sake, it's an essential funded item. Do we fund it? Is it funded through the increase in rates, or would it be funded from the reserve of money that we already have?
Well, ultimately, we're dipping into deficit, and obviously there's not enough money in our revenues there. So over the course of the next few years, we're looking to, and the long-term financial plan will be reviewed now with a new council. Ultimately, that will determine whether we're dipping into reserves or dipping through the rates. But the rates are really just about getting us to a point of break even, which was 4 years from now. That obviously didn't include a continuing $150,000 for the next 10 years.
I have more questions on other things, but I'm happy for other people. I don't want to be just the question and answer with Councillor Prince. Sorry, Mayor, if there's anyone else has.
Councillor O'May, have you got anything you'd like to say?
Yes, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Councillor Clark on her amendment, and I'd like to add a bit of a further comment in regards to what my personal belief is on our social obligation to community. I feel that the way that the country is unfolding, and also the hidden factor of the point that our fuel excise was given a reprieve for, I think it was 6 months. The price of fuel has now snuck up over what it was before that fuel excise was implemented, discounting was implemented. So I feel that when that period of time lapses and we have to absorb that extra fuel increase, I think that there's a lot of our industries, transport industry, trucking, food deliveries, and agriculture are going to be under a greater strain, further strain than they already are. So I believe that as a council, we should be making a point of keeping very much in touch with what the future developments are in the short-term future, and potentially may have to adjust things or give some help where it's needed. Otherwise, we're just in a spiralling inflationary movement, which is just going to complicate the cost of living and the hardship for members of our community, compounding further. So I really think that that we should be very much in touch with day-to-day developments, because they seem to be changing rapidly, and as the Reserve Bank Governor has indicated in the last week, they did not predict the radical increase in interest rates that has happened in the last month or so. They indicated that it would be up to 2 years before there was a great movement in interest rates. That hasn't happened. And just as they've had to move to contain the inflation dragon, I believe we as a council should be ready to act and provide hardship assistance to members of the community and businesses if it should arise. So that's just all I've got to say on that. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Prince, have you got another question?
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, Acting Mayor. It's sort of a question, I suppose. Just an explanation on the expenditure for ICT. I think it's $61,000. Just a sort of broad explanation. I think probably because there are probably people wondering what that means. Like I've got a rough idea, but more.
Yep. No, well, I'll pass that through to David. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's in relation to information, communications and technology. So, and primarily it's around our redundancy arrangements, backup arrangements, cyber security, protections against that. And in the event that we are infiltrated, we do need to be able to restore from backup and all of those kinds of arrangements. So that's primarily what it's about.
Thank you. My next question is, with the staff survey, the cost of $25,000, how has that arrived? Sorry, through you, Mayor. The cost of $25,000 for the staff survey, how is that sort of amount roughly worked out as well? Like, does that include data analysis on the results, or?
I'm able to answer that question. So
Thank you.
my response is, I think, fairly similar to the one the General Manager gave a moment ago in relation to the $150,000. We haven't gone through the procurement process yet, but we sort of have sought out some indicative costs of what it could be. And yes, that would include the analysis of the results. But again, until we go to the market and see what it's actually going to cost us, at this stage, it's just an estimate.
My probably other major one is, and I'm sure people who've read through this will have picked up that and if I had the page and was more organised, the medical centre deficit of $434,000 with an item that we try to always intended to be run at cost. Within the scope of this budget, is there, I know we have some reviews on childcare centre in there, is there scope within this budget to look at a review of our medical services?
Okay, thank you. Through you, gentlemen. Do you want to do that? Yep. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Prince. Through you, Mayor. Councillors, you'd be aware that we have been progressing some work in the medical services area for the last 12 months or so. So in the current financial year, we have reviewed the organisation structure of the practices and the operating model that we're using. We're continuing to implement those recommendations from that report, and that will continue in the next financial year, as well as continuing to recruit for long-term GPs rather than our medium-term locums that we're currently using.
Thank you. Is that you?
At this stage, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to congratulate Councillor Clark on her motion, and also to the Director for the work that's been done on this and the workshops that we've attended. I also would like to stress about the medical centres. We have a deficit, and we know that's with the locums, and that we are invested in the medical centres. I know there's been a lot of chatter about the fact that, you know, we're not going to be running doctors' surgeries. It's not the case. We are actively working, the council is actively working to correct the fact that we're trying to find GPs, but this is a whole Australia problem, not just Huon Valley. We're also in the big investment in our roading. Roading is our most phone calls that we receive, is inquiries about roading. The investment that we're making is 55% increase in what we're doing now. So we know there's an issue, the council knows there's an issue, we've listened to the community, and that's why we need to spend that money on our roading. The leadership and culture that you spoke about, I've seen how the staff are reacting to this, and they're reacting well. It's time that they had this, so I fully support the leadership and culture development. The IT, and I know that there is some more work to be done in health and safety in systems. So I know this is going to be an ongoing thing in correcting systems that we don't have at council. And we've been a while now where we've needed to upgrade our systems, and it's just not there. So we've had to make some hard decisions, and we know that council is increasing the rate at 5%, and it is more than others. But I think that the fact is that we're increasing the investment in the things that the community have told us they want, which is better roads, strategic land use and township planning, along with medical centres and sports centres. The top 3 messages that I've taken out of this budget is that council is responding to community feedback, and that we know that even 5% is going to hurt with everything else that's happening. But we do have a hardship policy, and we really do need people to come forward and speak to the staff, because with everything else that's happening with their day-to-day interest rates, fuel, heating, power, water. I live in the valley. I pay rates as well, as do the rest of the councillors. I have 2 grown children that are paying a mortgage. I understand the hurt that they're feeling as well. So I think that we just need to be assured that the councillors don't sit here and make decisions without a lot of thought. So thank you, Councillor Clark, for doing what you have done. And now I'll ask everyone if they have a statement they'd like to finish on. Yes, Robbie. Yes, Councillor Prince.
Thank you, Mayor, and now that I've asked my questions, thank you, Councillor Clark. I think I've not known you for a particularly long time, but your mind when it comes to local government matters does impress me. I must say, the way you think through amendments is something I respect, and I'm glad to have had some time to experience that, because it's excellent. I don't know why I'm getting worked up. Hang on. Look, roads, I think a year ago we sat here and I said, we're going to have a problem with roads. We need to do something about it. And then I maybe stupidly or bravely said, if you've got an issue with your roads, let me know. I want to hear. And I have probably hundreds of people have let me know about their potholes, their roads. I think there's a fella in Mountain River by the name of George Prince, father actually. He's let me know on a daily basis the roads aren't good enough and sort it out. And I think I've had plenty of conversations explaining that it's not just our road, it's a whole 700 kilometres of gravel roads in the Huon that all need working out, and there's a bit of patience, and hopefully having a bit more money to spend on roads means people don't have to be as patient. They don't have to play dodge the pothole quite as much. They don't have to replace their suspension as often. new tyres aren't needed as often. So I hope that does save some people some money and some heartache as well. I know it'll cost more a bit in your rates, but hopefully it'll save people money down at their local mechanic. The money towards the strategic planning, that's the other concern people keep raising with me. It's hard to do planning, and we're worried about what our towns will look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. We don't want to be Kingston 2.0. We want to keep the culture and we want to keep the Huon. People who've been here for not a long time or a long time, I think they really know what's special about here because they've seen it. That's why they either you're lucky enough to grow up here, you move here because of it. So I think that's great that we've got the money going towards that.
Thank you, Councillor Prince. Anybody else to finish off? Okay, well, Councillor O'May, you right?
Sorry, Mayor, can you...
We're about to take the vote, so, okay?
Through you, Mayor, can I just...
Yes.
Sorry, yep. Closing, yes, that's right. Sorry.
Thank you. I just very briefly say thank you all for hopefully your support tonight, and I would like to say it's just been a very difficult time. We really have gone through this. Everybody has. We've agonised over it, and we understand the staff and the work they've done. It's hate having to do what we've done, but we've got to look at the reason we're here is we're elected by the community, and we need to try and do the right thing by the community. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'll put the motion, the amended motion. A motion. I put the motion. Those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor O'May, are you for the motion?
Oh, Mayor.
Thank you. That's all councillors present, and the motion is carried. Thank you. It's that time again to go into closed council. Thank you to all those people who joined us in the gallery this evening, and those who, well, are listening. No? Yes? The next meeting is the ordinary meeting of council is at 6 p.m. on Wednesday the 29th of June.